Rob and Slim Show. John.
Hey, what's going on, man? It's John.
John Louis Campbell, how you doing?
Pretty good, man. How about yourself?
Good, man. We're doing our show. You're a comedy writer and performer from Las Vegas, correct?
Yes, sir.
Cool. And you're originally from Tennessee?
Yep, out in Nashville.
Where did you start comedy before you went to Vegas or after?
No, I actually started when I moved to Las Vegas back in 2014.
What brought you there?
Well, I moved out there with what's now my ex-wife.
I got one of those too.
And I started doing comedy, and then it came down between the marriage and her, and the marriage and comedy. So I chose comedy.
She put you at that. Too much. She put you at that choice, correct? Like that's
oh yeah.
Oh man, wow.
But I mean, there was problems way before that, anyway.
Yeah. So, do you prefer the comedy?
Yeah.
Me too. High five.
I'm air fiving you right now.
I did the same, bro. Well, who are some of your favorite comedians?
Shit, up until this point, one of them was Louis C.K., and now you can't really say that without getting looked at.
Yeah, but
with a weird look.
I've heard women even say, like, recently they love him. Like, even if that bothers them, like, they still love him as a comedian. Like, I've heard girls say he's one of the few that they actually liked, like, which is, and they still do.
It's a tricky situation for it to be like one of your favorite comedians to be able to have to look at that and then they're like, oh, yeah, I still like him.
I loved him because he was just real. Like, it was all his real life in his act. Like, I thought that was great.
Yeah, he definitely had a lot of support from a lot of comics, and nobody really cared what he said on stage just because they knew the type of person he was. But now that all that came out, everybody's kind of looking at it differently.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what I was thinking the other day? I think, like, what was it, like 5 women that came out? Like, how many women do you think he asked at, and how many were like, yeah, you can masturbate in front of me that didn't come out?
Probably
like,
a bunch that were cool with it, yeah. Like, I think the same. Like,
well, apparently all of them were like, they said yes to it, but, you know, at the same time, they're all like, well, he used his power, and that's the reason why they said yes. And it's like, I don't know, I wasn't there.
Bullshit.
That's like, too, when women have sex, and then they're drunk, and then the next day they say it's rape. That's not really rape. Like, you were into it at the time. Like, you regret it, but that doesn't mean it was non-consensual. Like,
yeah,
there's a fine line.
Tricky.
And he didn't like rape anybody. Like, he just jerked off. Like, I understand even if it wasn't consensual, it's not a rape, but it's not as bad as
one of them was just on the phone where he was like breathing heavily, and the girl was like, "Are you masturbating?" And he's like, yes.
I mean, like, he could have, like, lied about it. He's like, no, I totally am.
Yeah, he could be like, nah, what are you talking about?
No. Yeah. I ran, like, a mile before this phone call. Like,
oh, man. What's the craziest thing you've ever seen performing stand-up, John?
The craziest thing it was actually pretty recently. I was doing a show in Fallon, Nevada, because I'm actually living out here in Nashville at the moment. I'm doing comedy out here. Okay. Trying to break into this scene since I never got to perform out here.
Yeah.
But I went back to Vegas and I did some shows out there recently, and I ended up getting a few shows out in Fallon and Reno. And I was in the middle of doing my closing joke, and it's kind of a dark joke, and I got to like the punchline, and the punchline's basically like, it makes it seem as though I was like molested as a child, and like you just hear some old woman in the back just go, "God damn!" And like she just got up and she just goes, "Honey, I'm sorry," and I'm like, "You didn't have to be sorry." I was like, I'm just trying to like walk off stage. I'm like, "All right, I'm John Campbell. See you guys later." She like approached me after the show, and she was like, "I'm so sorry that you had to deal with that." I was like, I didn't. It's a joke. It's not real.
It's just a joke, lady. Like, oh man. Oh man.
But yeah, other than that, like I've never really like other than hecklers, I haven't had to be with anything crazy. But like I know a friend of mine, Tino, that does comedy in Las Vegas. He's actually got a YouTube video that's pretty popular of like him at an open mic. It's at a coffee shop where a heckler rushed the stage, and he basically just drop kicks this dude in the chest and just knocks him out.
Wow. What's your YouTube channel?
You can find it. It's not on his personal channel. It's just, if you just look up like Las Vegas comedian drop kicks heckler or something like that, you should be able to find it. It's like it's shot from a camera phone, and it's in a coffee shop.
I used to work in radio, and that just reminded me, like, I was on stage with this guy named Bacardi Artie, and he would breathe fire. He would breathe fire, and some guy tried rushing the stage, and I just saw Bacardi Artie just kick him right in the head. Just get him away. Like, this guy is going to get set on fire. Like, he's so drunk, he doesn't even know. Like,
don't rush a guy that's breathing fire. Like,
don't rush anybody. Don't.
Right.
Yeah, it's like we've all played Call of Duty. You don't mess with flamethrowers.
Oh, man. I just saw your message, John. You guys okay?
Yeah, man. I didn't know if I was going to be able to make it to the phone call, but like right as soon as I hit send, the cops were like, "Yeah, you guys can go ahead and go." We're like, "Thank God." Luckily, we were just right around the corner. It wasn't nothing serious. We just got stuck there on the side of the road talking to the police for the accident.
Just got rear-ended. Yeah, I got rear-ended once at like a stop sign. I just got bumped, and I ended up getting like whiplash. Like for like a week, I couldn't even turn my neck. Like, it could be gnarly. It could be gnarly.
Yeah, man. Not too long ago, I was actually in a pretty bad car accident. Totaled my car up. Ended up, I almost got a DUI for it, but luckily, like, my blood alcohol content was under the legal limit, so they just dropped it down to, I guess, just a reckless endangerment.
Wow.
But, and like, I kind of made a bit out of it. I was like, that's how I knew I was back in Tennessee, because I got a DUI because I got hit by another drunk driver. It's just crazy out here.
That is.
It's like in Vegas, like everybody out there is drinking and driving, but they've done it so much to the point where it's like it's not even a challenge for them at this point.
They're used to it. They're fine. That's the only way they can drive.
Driving sober for them is what's hard.
Oh, man.
It's a real challenge.
Yeah. That's it. You don't want to drive sober. What do you write? Do you write for other comedians, John, or do you write for like any productions?
No, not at the moment. I've actually kind of taken a break from like after I did those shows in Reno and Fallon. I've just been doing a couple of open mics here and there, and kind of want to take a break from doing book shows. Another comedian friend of mine, Zach Dooley, up in Chicago, we're working on writing for a TV show. They're trying to make one for ourselves.
Yeah.
So we've been pretty much doing that off and on for a while, but I was like, we've got too much good stuff going into it. I was like, dude, I'm just going to take a break from, doing shows. I was like, let's, try to bang this out and see if we can do something with it. So that's kind of what I've been up to at the moment, is just, trying to write for these shows. We've got a couple of episodes already written out. We're just trying to get a few more done before we try to, toss it out there, try to get somebody to snag it.
Yeah. That's cool. What advice would you give to somebody just starting out in comedy?
Just starting out? I don't know. Don't do it.
I've heard a few comedians say that.
No, I mean, if you're just starting out and you want to do it, you'll know within the first time at a first open mic if this is what you want to do or not, regardless of if you, eat crap on stage or if you do great.
Yeah.
You'll know right there if that's what you want to do. But, no, starting out, don't get a big head. Don't tell anybody that you can do 20 minutes when you know damn well you can't.
Yeah.
I've seen that so many times. People go on the road with us, and I can do about 15, or I just wrote about 20 minutes of material and get up there, and then like all of a sudden they just go blank on stage like after 4 minutes, and it's like, what happened to that 20, man?
Yeah.
We were talking about that earlier too. Like, how do you know? We were even talking about like a 5 minute. Like, oh, you gotta write 5 minutes. Well, how do you know? Like,
how do you gauge that? How many pages is that? Like, yeah.
Well, the way it usually works out is like, once you start learning, you can like start writing material, and before you like go out there and like go to open mics, because most open mics that you go to, they give you 5 minutes, and they'll light you at 4 minutes, like you have 1 minute remaining.
Okay.
So the best way to prepare yourself for that before you can get there is like, when you write out your jokes, time yourself, like, like go to a mirror, or like, you know, somewhere where you're comfortable, and just read your set out loud to yourself, you know, and time it and see, like, you know, okay, do I need to add more jokes? Do I need to take some out? Or it's really the only way to really, you know, judge it and see where you're at on time. But if like once you start getting like, once you have like, you know, maybe like 40 minutes of material, like if you have like a couple of 10-minute sets, you know, here and there that you've already created that you know are already like established as 10 minutes, you can just put like, you know, 10 minutes, you know, add those 10 minutes together. Boom, you've already got 20. Now you just got to work on, you know, another 20 more.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, it's really not that hard. Like, well, no, stand up itself is like one of the most difficult things I've ever, you know, done in my life. It's definitely not easy, and I would never tell anybody it's easy. But
Yeah.
you know, when it comes to writing, that's really the easiest part. It's getting up there is, you know, the hardest part.
Yeah, and just do it yourself. Just perform the act yourself, and see how much time.
Well,
it
yeah,
takes.
I mean, I've been doing it now going on, I'd say 4 years, and like people ask me, they're like, "Do you ever get nervous?" I'm like, every damn time.
Good. Yeah,
every damn time I get nervous.
I did a little bit of acting in high school, and yeah, my one teacher told me, yeah, if there's a time you're up there and not nervous, there's something wrong. There's something wrong if you're not nervous.
Well, I mean, what kind of happens with me is like I'm always just like, you know, a little nervous before I go up there. Sometimes more nervous than others, but usually when I get up there, and you know, the opening bit, you know, strikes like a good laugh, I kind of like to relax a little bit more. And as I start reeling them in, and they're laughing more, then I'm just completely comfortable on stage. It's like I'm just talking to friends at that point.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, I years ago I had I got into an open mic night, and it was my first one, and I said to them when I signed in at the front door, "This is my first one," and they were like, "Okay." They didn't say anything else, and then I sat down. I'm sitting through all the comedians, and then finally the headliner goes up, and I'm like, "What's going on?" Finally, the club owner comes over. And he's like, "You weren't in the meeting." I'm like, "I told them when I signed in, it was the first one I was ever at. They didn't tell me I had to be at a meeting." Like, and he's like, "Oh, you can go up after Jim Brewer." And I'm like, "No, I can't. I'm not going to go after the headliner." Like, what are you thinking? Like,
set you up for failure. Here, go up after this guy that's been doing it for years, and it's really freaking good.
Yeah. And he just killed. Like, yeah, no, I was, and then he offered, yeah, he's like, "You can come back and do it again." I just never went back. Dude. But yeah, that's my failure.
And open mics, especially for your first time, they always like to let everybody know, okay, it's their first time. And it's like, come on, man, why'd you have to do that to them? What's funny is like they'll tell, like most of the comics that I've witnessed that are like it's their first time, they'll get up there and they're like, don't say it's my first time. But then as soon as it's not going good for them, they're like, "Sorry, it's my first time." And I'm like, you didn't want them to know, but you just went out and told them.
Yeah, you don't want to let them know that. You know, I was going to ask too, John. When you first went out, like, did you kill? Because I've heard from a lot of comedians we've talked to. Really?
Oh, no, it was horrible.
Wow. What made you get back up then?
Like my very first time I ever went up was at it was called the Dive Bar. It's a Monday night open mic in Las Vegas. And it's actually the place where Doug Stanhope at first started doing comedy in Vegas.
Wow.
And so, like I went in there. It was my very first time. I knew none of the comics. I knew nobody. And I knew nothing about, you know, getting lit at 4 minutes, you know, doing only 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
And so, like, I go up there with what I thought I had was, you know, what I thought were jokes. And so I get through I'm going through my whole bit. And then, like, I look over to my right, and, like, nobody's laughed one damn time. And I look over to the right, and the host is literally walking onto the stage, and he's like, "All right." He just takes the mic from me. He's like, "All right, give it up for John Louis Campbell." And he goes, "You went over your time." And I was like, "My bad, man."
Oh, man.
But, no, it was a good lesson to learn, because after that, I never did that again.
Good. Yeah, we have talked to a lot of guys that say the first time they kill, the second time is a little rough, but...
Yeah, that's usually how it was. Like, for me, it was backwards. My first time was just rough. And then the second time I actually did very well. And I was like, oh, okay.
Awesome.
I was like, I can do this.
Yeah. I was going to ask, too, I saw on your Facebook, are you friends with Ryan Barassa? Because I thought I saw a picture with him.
Yeah, he actually used to be one of my roommates when I lived in Vegas.
Wow.
Very cool.
That's cool. He's a very cool dude. We've talked to him at least three times over the course of the show.
Yeah, he like right before I moved out here to Tennessee, him and another comedian, Kyle Blessing, were living with me. We had a little condo, like on the east side of town, in a rough neighborhood, and I was the only one that had a vehicle, so we would all just like crunch in my little single cab truck and just go to open mics like every night or go to shows.
Wow, yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, he's a great guy, man. I really think he's one of the best. One of the best.
No, he really is. He's a great guy. Good for him.
Yeah, I
very
wish,
funny dude.
Yeah, I'd love him to blow up. He's so cool. We saw a few weeks ago he put up I think right before the last time we talked to him, he did an open mic where he performed as the Riddler, and it was so funny. At one point, he just screamed at Batman that he was a cunt. It was that just tickled my soul. That just tickled my soul. He's like, we're just mentally ill, and Batman's fucking us up. Yeah, he's great. He's out of control. Is he one of the guys that like took you in when you went out there, like comedically?
No, like one of the first comedians that I started out with when I first started, that kind of like took me under their wing. That was kind of like, hey, this is what you're doing wrong. This is what you're doing right. Was he's a comedian based out of Chicago. His name's Skills Hudson. Really good dude. Like he's performed with everybody from like D.L. Hughley, Dave Chappelle, Bernie Mac, all them guys.
Oh, wow.
And so like he kind of took me under his wing, and if it wasn't for him, like I wouldn't have progressed nowhere near as far as I have now.
Wow. What is one of the biggest mistakes that a new comedian makes?
A new comedian makes? I'd say one of the biggest mistakes is really just, their social media presence.
Really?
I'd say one of the biggest things that like people tend to do is like they make themselves seem bigger on social media than what they really are as a comic. So like, and that'll really hurt your career. Like, if you are interested in pursuing this as like, a lifelong thing.
Wow.
Because for example, there was this comedian, we were at it's called the Naked City Open Mic. It's hosted by Victor Hernandez over on Arville in Vegas. And this guy come in and was just harassing Victor like all night. Like, hey man, when are you going to put me up? When are you going to put me up? He's like, dude, when it's ready for you to go up, he's like, you'll go up. And he's like, do you really want to do that? And like nobody knew who this dude was, and he was just acting very cocky and arrogant.
Wow.
And, like, it's a very it's a very dark room. Well, not very dark, but somewhat, dim.
Yeah.
And he's like wearing sunglasses on stage. We're like, oh my god, dude. And so like he goes through his opening bit, or like his whole bit, and like nobody really laughs. And then like come to find out, he somehow he weaseled his way on to getting on what's called the Dirty at 12:30, hosted by Gabe Lopez at the South Point Casino, which is it's a pretty big deal to get on that show because it's always got a national headliner come in, and it's a free comedy show that they host at the casino.
Mm.
And so like every now and then, they'll give a spot to like, the local Vegas comics that have, been putting in work and doing good. But somehow he weaseled his way on there, and he was up on stage, and like not even a minute and a half into his set, like nobody was laughing. People were just like, it was completely silent, and it was hard to watch. And they had to go, like Gabe had to go up on stage and just tell him to get off, and like was like, I'm sorry. And it was just very embarrassing for Gabe. So like, when you do that and like a booker puts their their neck out on the line for somebody that's like that they've never seen perform, but like you've made yourself seem so much bigger than what you are, like it's really going to hurt you in the long run, because bookers are going to talk to other bookers and be like, don't book this guy.
Right.
Yeah.
So you mean like somebody who has like way more like friends on Facebook than they should, or Twitter followers than they should.
Just constantly like making themselves seem bigger and better than what they are, like with their social media presence, like whether it's like just posting like pictures of them at open mics all the time, and like like just like basically like making it seem like they have like a crap ton of fans when they don't.
They're basically trying to fake it till they make it.
Yeah, like this, like I've heard Doug Stanhope say before, it's like you got two different types of comics. You got a comic that's really, really funny, but sucks at promoting themselves. And then you got a comic that's really, really good at promoting themselves, but sucks at comedy.
Yeah. What's worse? What's worse to have going on?
I'd say what's worse to have going on is, being a terrible comic and then, being good at promoting, because like I said, it's going to do nothing but hurt you in the long run.
Yeah.
Because even if you were to get better, you've already established a bad name for yourself, and you really don't want that.
Right.
Yeah.
Because then everyone's saying, like, yeah, this guy looks good on social media, but he's really not. And even if you do get better, it's still going to be like, no, that guy sucks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're being
tricked.
You're being tricked.
All right, John, we're going to wrap this up, dude, but thank you so much for talking to us. Where can everybody find you?
I'm on Facebook, John Louis Campbell. And then if you get on, I guess, Instagram, it'll be Unsocial Parrot. I have a Twitter. It's I believe I changed it. It used to be No Title Comedy, but now I think I changed it to Unsocial Parrot as well. But other than that, I just use my social media platforms to promote myself and get book shows, because honestly, it's like Facebook has made it so much easier now, because like you can just be friends and network with all bookers from like all over the nation. So like there's really no need sometimes to even make a big website unless you get to that point where you actually have to have one because you're selling merchandise. But I don't sell merchandise.
Awesome, dude. Thank you so much.
No, thank you guys so much for having me.
No problem, John. Have a good one.
You guys as well. All right.
All right, brother.
Take care, man.
Take it easy.